Merry meet, Annie here. This video was actually the topic from Pagan Perspective from last week, and it was subs week, so I wasn't hosting it all last week, and it's an interesting topic. Plus it comes from somebody I care about deeply, so I wanted to address it. And it was Toledo Borealis who asked us on Pagan Perspective, have you thought about if you are dragging past life curses, vows, or contracts you've made or were the object of? Maybe this is why you and your close family have been having for years financial, health, or love problems. What do you think of this, and what would you do to get rid of them? And the reason I wanted to put my 2 cents out there for my friend and for consideration of anybody else who stumbles on this video is I don't believe that past life challenges, curses, problems, or successes bleed over into this life. Yeah, I do think that some of us seem to be prone to a certain kind of life. So I do believe that our other existences may impact it, but as far as bleeding over from one life to another, I don't see it that way. There's a couple of reasons. The first is, I don't believe that time is this linear thing that makes us easier to understand that yesterday came before today, which comes before tomorrow, but I'm not so sure that I relate to time that way when it comes to our existence. And that's just experiences I've had where I've been in touch with pieces of myself that are existing in other times, but which are concurrent with this one. I'm not a scientist, I don't pretend to understand any of the theories of what time is, but I do know that my experience of it has been that, well, it's beyond my understanding, that it is not as chronological or linear as we're often told or taught that it is. So one of the reasons why I don't believe that we're back to be haunted by something from a prior life is I don't believe that the prior life happened necessarily before this one. I do believe in the experience of eternally evolving, and that we do learn throughout all of our existences. Another reason why I don't believe in the carryover, the karma, good or bad from another life, is I don't believe that I, in my entirety, have existed at another time. Either have existed or existing currently now, separate from my current self, or will exist in the future. I happen to believe in group soul. I happen to believe that our evolution is as a group and not as an individual. And I'm still exploring this, but this is the thing about the evolution of who we are that has been making the most sense to me probably for 15 years or so now, since the first time I encountered the concept of community soul. That there is, as you might think of it, a pod or a group of energies that are from one source, that are split off to learn and grow and evolve and come back at the end of life, contributing to the overall wisdom of, I hate to say the word collective because it sounds awful Borgian, but before the advent of the Borg, I would have said collective and not had a problem with using the word. I really feel that my existence now is the combination of many of the energies and the entities that are part of my group soul. And I do sometimes feel each of them individually and come into contact with each of them individually. These kind of energy forms, kind of entity forms. I recognize them when I have experiences of being with my wiser self, being with my younger self, but not chronologically the younger self I was, or the older self I'm going to become in this life. A sense of the energies that I am connected to, which are naive and trusting, and those which are wise and experienced. And to me it feels like recombinations that are not wholly the essence of who I am specifically at this moment. I'm very comfortable with the idea that I am a collection. Very comfortable with that idea. I do believe that is why there have been instances in my life that I have met others, and I knew the moment I met them that we were one. Not that we'd known each other in a prior life, but that we are one. We come from the same group. We're literally the same being. It's only happened a couple of times in my life, but when it has happened, it has been amazingly powerful. So my relation to time makes it so that I do not think that things carry over, whether they are rewards or punishments from a prior life. I can see why those who believe in past lives as distinct recreations of who we are over and over again would see it that way. So it makes sense to me. It's just not been my experience of who I am in all my parts. Now, I don't think that eliminates from my life that my life is a learning process. I do believe that I will experience certain things in this life that are not just meant to benefit me in this life, if I'm wise enough to permit them to, but they benefit the wholeness of the group that I belong to. It's kind of like taking back that information and that experience as I'm experiencing it, and especially at the end of life when I feel that there is a looking back over and assimilating more Borg talk, more Borg talk. I would never have thought assimilation was a word I had to stay away from either. So pre-Borg assimilation and collective meant a lot to me, those words. And I really do feel that at the end of life there is a looking back over and learning from, learning one's failings, what one did not meet or learn from experiences, celebrating what was an evolvement, a growth from experiences, and taking it home in the place between physical existences. So I do believe that there's a purpose to the things that we experience and learn while we're here in this particular physical existence. Because I don't believe in reincarnation, in the idea of being a person, specific person, recreated over and over and over again through many lives. Because of my way of looking at it, it's no less that there is meaning to the points of my life, the things that I experience in my life, as going back to the fold, going home as I consider it, and being part of this greater experience of life. I don't believe that when I return, or in my other existences happening now, that I am whole as I am in this life. I do believe that I am, in a way, reassembled from the energy from my home and go back out into physical existence. And there's a constant in and out and mixing and mingling. I find great comfort in the fact that I may have met, I'll say for sure, 2 other people in my life who are part of that same union outside of physical existence. I love the fact that I am one amongst, and that who I am condensed into this physical form this time around will never repeat itself. Will become one with this union and be reassembled and sent back out again from whatever source it comes from and returns to. That source, by the way, to me, feels like the divine becoming ever more aware. All of the groups that exist, all these collectives as I see them exist, to me are the way that those collectives are even mixed and mingled, and the experiences become this experience of being human. The ultimate expression of which, to me, feels like the divine. So, Sophia, that is a long sideways explanation for why I don't think that we are haunted by the things that happen in our past, both because I don't believe we existed in the past or future or concurrently in our exact form. That does not belittle the fact that I believe that there are powerful lessons to be learned in life, and that there's a purpose to that, to my experience of it beyond exactly, literally, what I experience in this life, but what becomes of that when it is taken home with me at the end of my life. I also have a very, very strong feeling that we will spend some of our physical existences with the single most important thing in the long length of our life is something that we were complementary to, that was because of the learning of another. I don't believe that we can think that everything in our life has some deep meaning for us. I do believe that we may, at the end of our lives, realize that we were here because of one particular thing that impacted the growth of another person that we came in contact with. It just doesn't feel to me as if existence is about me. Now, does that seem that I'm saying that I've taken the me out of living? No. It is all the more reason why this life that I am living as Annie, as this collection that's here physically now, is that much more beautiful. It's my one chance as Annie to totally and completely experience existence and being part of it in this physical, glorious physical sense. I owe it more responsibility before that. I'm not going to get another chance to get this right. This is it for me in my entirety. My successes and my failures will be taken with me, I do believe, for a higher purpose when I am gone. But this glorious time frame, no matter how long I'm allowed to be here this time around, this is the only shot I have at being purely, perfectly, beautifully Annie. So there's my take on it, which is a little bit different than what some of you have shared on this topic. And that's why I wanted to share it. I wish you mirth and reverence. Merry part.